And France is a largely Christian society, but you can't wear a cross. You don't like the system in your country of birth, so you go to France, you say it's a modern country, it's a safe country, let me live there. And then you get French citizenship. You start converting France to unbridled immigration. There is no control. Anybody can land up in France, anybody can land up in UK or Germany, give you some sob story. Most of these, 99% of these sob stories are fake. Jan friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. I've always held that there are preachers, Islamic teachers, Islamic preachers who use hijab as a political tool, who use public namaz. When I say public namaz, I mean namaz not that is offered in homes or in masjids. No. Namaz which is offered in public areas which causes inconvenience to other people. It is used as a political weapon, a political tool, and many people use it. They will not use it in Islamic countries. You will never see, even under the Taliban, you will not see people offering namaz by blocking the road. They won't do it. They won't do it in Saudi Arabia, they will not do it in UAE or Brunei or any other such place where it is, they take great pride in saying that we are largely, if not 100%, largely Sharia compliant. They will never do that. These things only happen in democratic societies where people are more willing to accept other cultures, other religions, because that is the nature of those societies, which is exactly why those societies have progressed in the recent past, in the recent 50, 70 years. They have progressed. For example, Europe. Now, what happened is that in France, in a school called Lycée Maurice-Ravel, Lycée Maurice-Ravel is a school in Paris where 3 girls wore the hijab and they came to school. And obviously, the teachers there said you can't wear the hijab because you're not allowed to. 2 girls removed the hijab, but 1 girl got into a confrontation with the school staff. Now, there is an old French law going back to 2004, if I'm not mistaken, which says that, especially among students, any sign of religion is not welcome. And France is a largely Christian society, but you can't wear a cross. That is the French version of secularism that, in fact, in France, at least as far as public places are concerned or public spaces like schools and universities are concerned, for them, specifically for them, it means rather an absence of religion. It does not mean what it means in the Indian context. So there they say an absence of all religious symbols. If you're a Christian, you can't wear a cross. If you're a Muslim, you can't wear a hijab or a skull cap, for example, and they implement that law very strictly, even upon themselves, being a Christian nation. When I say a Christian nation, I don't say that constitutionally they're Christian, but a vast majority of the French people follow Christianity and they identify as Christians. So they don't allow even the Christians to wear a cross in schools and in colleges and universities. It's not allowed. But this girl, this student, confronted the authorities and there was a huge hue and cry and rights have been taken away and secularism is under threat and Islamophobia, etc. And then there started coming threats, there were threats against the school teachers. Random people started making threats that, we'll do this to you and we'll do that to you. And So I just wanted to discuss, and before I do that, I will just tell you what else happened. And here is my research paper. And so the student alleged that this principal pushed her and hit her arm. So this is again, the student wearing the hijab is using very effectively the victim card and saying that, the teacher pushed her and tried to hit her and hit her arm, not tried to, but hit her arm. Complaint against the principal dropped due to lack of evidence. Now, there was no evidence. I mean, I'm sure when the principal comes, there would be other teachers, there would be other students, because this was a shouting and slanging match going on. This student just lied about the principal, which is absolutely normal for radical Islamists. They think that even if they have to lie, cheat, steal, murder, it's all right because they're serving the faith. That is what radical Islamists think. They think they're serving the religion, which they are not. But the radicals think like that, and that is why they did it. This girl is radical. This girl is extremely radical. And principal files suit accusing student of intimidating a public official. Now, rather, a suit has been filed against a legal a notice will be sent to the student if the suit has been filed, and then she'll be called to court and accusing the student of intimidating a public official. And there is a national outrage and the principal's resignation. And the principal has stepped down. The principal of that school, the principal has stepped down, saying that, he fears for the personal safety. The principal says, I'll be killed. And school security, the school may be blown up. You never know with these jihadis. You never know with these clowns. Somebody might just, go, and it's happened in France a few times. Something happens in Israel, which the Jews do or the Israeli Defense Forces do, which maybe Muslim immigrants in France disagree with very strongly. Now, everybody wants to go to France, everybody wants to go to UK and Canada. Nobody wants to go to Palestine and actually fight the Israelis. That they do on social media. Nobody has the courage to go there. Nobody has landed up there and said that, we'll support you guys and we are willing to fight alongside you, shoulder to shoulder, against the Israeli forces. Nobody's going to do that, right? Now, what they're doing here is simple. In this case, when they realize that something wrong is going on there and we don't like it and we strongly disagree with it, they'll just kill some old Christian woman who's going to church. Yeah, it happened in France a few years back. Even before this war started, because of some blasphemy thing, they killed an old woman. At that time, this war had not started. They just killed a random old woman who had nothing to do with that blasphemy thing. But they said, no, since some Christian has done this, some other Christian must pay for it. And where did that blasphemy happen? That blasphemy happened in Denmark. In Denmark, somebody burned the Quran, right? Some random person burned the Quran in Denmark. So, some random Christian old woman who was going to a church to pray, she had her neck cut. Because obviously, a Christian in France who has possibly never ever been to Denmark, who has never probably heard of that incident happening, has no idea, must pay for somebody else's quote-unquote crimes. This is radical Islam for you, and this is happening, and I'll tell you why it's Europe's fault. I'll come back to that later. Now, Prime Minister Gabriel Attal condemns threats against the principal as unacceptable. So, the entire French nation has come together and is supporting the principal. Outrage escalates nationally following the principal's resignation. The principal said, hey, listen, I'm not going to deal with these lunatics, yeah? I mean, should I be dealing with these lunatics? This girl who's fighting and blaming me for, trying to hit her. I've never hit her. There is no evidence that I've hit her, but she's just screaming her head off. Tomorrow somebody will attack me. I don't want to deal with such lunatics, yeah? I'm sorry. They shut down the school because they said somebody might send a bus full of explosive inside that school. You never know. You never know. So people are scared and people are angry, and you see. So this is what is happening, and Prime Minister emphasizes the importance of secularism in France. Actually, the problem with secularism in France is that, you see, as far as radical Islamists are concerned, this occupying public spaces for offering namaz and this whole hijab thing and all. So, this girl's family is originally not French, right? Obviously, she's not French. She's come from outside somewhere. You want to leave the Islamic system. So, why have you come to France? Because you're not satisfied with that system or that economy, or there is civil war going on or some nonsense happening wherever these guys are from, okay? I don't know the family, but wherever these family is from, wherever these guys are from, they don't like that system in that country. Okay, you don't like the system in your country of birth, so you go to France, you say it's a modern country, it's a safe country, let me live there. And then you get French citizenship. And then you start converting France to the country of your birth. That is the entire idea. They want to spread their belief, their faith in a manner that, you see, I believe that religions and communities can exist side by side. I believe so. I truly believe that people of all religions can live peacefully side by side. The problem with radical Islamists is that, just like this girl, it's very instructive. If you look at how this girl has behaved. First, she tried to push her way. She tried to push her way into the school. When she was stopped by the principal, the rest of the two girls, they said, okay, this girl, she tried to push. And when there were loud voices exchanged with the principal, she should not have done that. She played the victim card. Immediately she played the victim. And her whole narrative is that because I'm a Muslim, I'm a victim. That is a narrative. And this is exactly what she has done. She blames the principal for hitting her and abusing her and pushing her and whatnot. And there is no evidence. But if she shouts often enough and loudly enough, 1 out of 10 people will believe, or 1 out of 100 people will believe, and her job is done. And then suddenly there are threats, and the principal shuts down the school and he resigns. He says, sorry, I would like to get up breathing tomorrow. You never know which clown comes with a knife and attacks him. You never know. So this is the danger that France is facing, and this is existential danger. I'll talk about this. And tension between upholding secular values and respecting religious freedom, ongoing debate on the treatment of France's Muslim minority. Now, doesn't this remind you of the Karnataka hijab row in 2022? 6 girls of government women's college in Udupi launched a protest by sitting outside the classrooms after college authorities prohibited them from wearing hijab and attending classes. Muskan Khan, she became a poster girl of pro-hijab protests across India, and Muskan Khan was lauded by Hafiz Saeed. She's lauded by, I think, Al-Qaeda or Islamic State or somebody or the other. I forget the name of these random terrorist organizations, but Muskan Khan became a heroine because, well, I mean, if the Al-Qaeda are your fans and if Hafiz Saeed is your fan, then great going, girl. Excellent. So why is this happening? See, unbridled immigration. There is no control. Anybody can land up in France, anybody can land up in UK or Germany and give you some sob story. Most of these, 99% of these sob stories are fake. And anyway, I'd like to tell the people of France today, and I made this deliberately in English so that the people of France would understand. The people of England would understand, the people of Germany would understand. If anybody has a problem at their place of residence or their country, it's not your problem. It's not your problem. Stop trying to be Superman. Stop trying to save the world, because the person whom you're trying to save is actually Lex Luthor with one piece of kryptonite. Have you understood what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is that the people who are coming inside, 99%, I'm not saying all of them, but 99% mean harm to France or to Germany or to England. It could be economic harm. It could be political harm. It could be religious harm. This whole thing, it happens in India, and I've been very vocal about my thoughts here. You can't have people praying in the middle of the road. You can't. Because this is not prayer. First of all, inconvenience is number 2. People offering namaz on the road, blocking the road every single day. This is not about offering prayers. This was never about offering prayers. Okay? This is about politics. This is about the politics of victimhood. This is about politics of pushing the envelope, and they keep on pushing the envelope, till the time you react. And the day you react, they'll play the victim card. There are many Muslims. I have friends who are Muslims, and they pray. And they pray at their homes, they pray in the mosques, and even in the office, they'll just sit in their chair and pray for 10 minutes and everybody will leave them alone. I've seen it happening in the corporate sector. I've seen it happening in so many top companies. They'll just go to the corner, they'll pray, or they'll just, their people, the friends, their friends or their circle in the office, which are largely Hindu. I mean, out of 10, 7 or 8 would be Hindu. They know that this person is offering the namaz or this girl is offering the namaz, and they'll leave them alone and they'll be quiet around them, and they'll offer namaz and they'll come out and they'll join them for lunch or a cup of tea or coffee or whatever. I've seen it happening 100 times. And there is no problem if you want to offer namaz quietly without disturbing anybody. But this whole thing about, I will wear a hijab, this is deliberately confrontationist. And the French should realize that this is being done as a pattern. There is a deliberate, because, the idea of the radicals is to take over. Take over from the largely majority Christian community in France. The idea is to take over. That is why those riots happened, last year when that young man was shot by the police. They could have filed a case against the police. They could have taken the policemen to court. They could have claimed compensation from the French police through the courts. Millions of dollars worth of compensation. They did not go that route. Their aim was to burn France. And they burnt, I don't know, thousands of automobiles, hundreds of houses, museums, churches, schools. They burnt everything. France was burning for more than a week, or I think 2 weeks. France burnt. They'll just burn your country if they want to. And I've maintained it, very often, that this will lead, and this is already leading actually, to the birth of the far right in France, or the resurgence of the far right. Not exactly the birth, but the resurgence. I only hope and pray that it does not give or fan the flames of fascist forces in Europe, because should that happen, then everybody's gone. It doesn't matter who's innocent, who's guilty. Then all immigrants will go. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for the question and answers. And we have, so the first question is, ladies and gentlemen, Sam, Jai Hind Major Sir, Jai Hind Sam, when will India stop doing charity support for some neighbors? In the end, they backstab us. Why don't we change our strategy and think like what China has been doing and counter that? Anyways, we are giving money to neighbors. Why not buy their politicians for a win-win situation? Eventually, they will bend who give them money. So, that is what China does. India does not do it. India has got a different policy. And, in the end, countries who do that, what you're recommending, are always exposed. This is one reason why the Belt and Road Initiative is in peril right now. It's not proceeding smoothly. You can cheat and steal and thieve like China does, and you can come across as an absolute ass, which is what China does. But it doesn't last. You get exposed and then people start moving away from you, which is exactly what is happening with China right now. Shikha Yadav, Jai Hind Major Saab, Jai Hind Shikha ji. I would like to know, can India take or move first to get Mount Kailash and all land back which was given, or we can say compromised by Congress and previous governments? Okay, compromised by Congress and previous governments. Shikha ji, there is a problem. You see, this whole thing about the line of actual control, right? This is what India is trying to solve. If you say physically take it, yeah, sure, physically take it. But it's not that simple. This thing has to be settled once and for all. We have to agree upon a line of actual control, actually both sides signed off, declare it an international border, get it recognized by the UN. That's the way. China has been refusing to do it. What you're suggesting will involve military action. Partha Popat. Namaste Gaurav ji, Namaste Partha ji. My question is why China's development so focused on its eastern side, and why do airplanes disappear on tracking sites while flying above West China? So probably, I don't know about airplanes disappearing on tracking sites, but yeah, China must be blocking them. And why is China's development so focused on its eastern side? Because if you look at the map, that is where the coastline is. That is where the areas are. That is where there is plentiful. There are plentiful forests. There is greenery. There is water. There is the coastline. All the natural resources which a human being requires to survive. I'm not talking about iron ore and zinc, etc. I'm talking about what nature gives, right? Because in the middle of China, not in the middle, but towards the west, there's the huge desert called the Gobi Desert is there, and those areas are not they're not occupied, except for the Xinjiang province and some areas down below. None of it is occupied. So there is a huge gap in between. And then if you look towards the eastern side and the southern side, and southeast actually, not southern, but southeast, east and southeast, that is where a majority of the Chinese population is because of the factors that I just listed out. So thank you for watching this video, ladies and gentlemen. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.